The CID and Pioneer Square are great neighborhoods in that you see people out on the streets, in the parks, on, just doing their daily living out in public in a way that I don't think you do in other neighborhoods. And during the pandemic, seeing all that shut down was eerie. It felt like a post-apocalyptic movie. So seeing that activity start to bounce back has been great. Some of the newer buildings, especially in Little Saigon, where there still isn't anything that's gone into them, those areas still look a lot harder hit than the area around, say, Hing Hay Park or Occidental Park, where you see a lot of people out on a daily basis, especially Hing Hay Park. That ping pong table is never quiet, ever.
So I know that SCIDpda bought the Bush Hotel in 78 or 77. It has gone through 2 rehabs, most recently in 2008, to do some seismic retrofitting. It was originally what we would call a single-room occupancy hotel.
The neighborhood was built for people who were transient, whether they lived here part of the year and they worked elsewhere part of the year, or if they were hotels built because we're right next to 2 train stations. But those single-room occupancy, even the ones that are still occupied, often are multi-generational households. So what we see changing is that the newer buildings that are built are reflecting that reality in a more American use of space.
What it means, SROs, means that it usually is a kitchenette, a sink in your bedroom, and then you'd go down the hall to use the restroom. I believe in the 80s we converted it from an SRO to what's called converted SROs, so studio and 1-bedroom apartments. Since then, it has continued to operate as affordable housing. We have 3 levels of commercial space, one of which is Hing Hay Co-works, which is our co-working space and a way to diversify the type of economy that we have in the neighborhood. And then we have a number of tenants that actually work in community development, including Craft 3, which is a community development financial institution, and then Enterprise Community Partners. On the ground floor is where SCIDpda's main offices are, as well as the congregate meal program, which is a meal program to serve seniors in the neighborhood. So in addition to the housing on top, where we've had tenants that have been in there for I think over 30 years, we also have quite a bit of commercial space on the ground floor that serves the community.
You definitely know them when you see them. If you look really closely at the buildings and you compare the buildings here to the buildings in Pioneer Square or to anywhere else that would be comparable time-wise for architectural style, most of the details aren't that unusual. So the city defines this area as having, an Asian character district, but it's honestly pretty stock standard early 20th century architecture, with the exception of that one balcony. So you'll see that balcony is often inset. It is larger than your average window, and it will have details like it's not a full roof. It's not like the balcony sticking off, but it's a little bit of a tile roof that you'll see like on the pagoda out in Hing Hay Park. A lot of them haven't been incredibly well maintained just because of lack of funds, but the colors are still brilliant. And then on the fourth part of on the north side is Uncle Bob's Place, which is a new building that has some new artistic balconies they're very different than the Family Association balconies in that there's a column of them. There's one on each floor. They were designed by artists in the community today. That building is just open for leasing now as a low-income housing project. And those are to reference those balconies on the historic buildings. They have a red metal punched art that also references the new part of Hing Hay Park.
So we're right here at 8th and Weller, right before you cross the freeway and go into Little Saigon. We're what's called the Chinatown core. So if you see right here, these are folks walking to the food bank right now. It's Friday morning. This is when they go and get their groceries. This is where you have a lot of the historic buildings. This is part of the National Register part. So, and then this street, as you can see, has a lot of trucks and kind of industry that goes through it that comes from Soto into downtown. So here we are at the Donnie Chin International Children's Park. This is actually one of the first economic development projects that SCIDpda worked on, which was I want to say remodeling, but refurbishing this park and kind of doing the redevelopment of it. So as you can see, we have a little umbrella that never goes down. It's great for rain cover, as we need here in Seattle. And then you see there's a bunch of greenery here, as well as play equipment. One of the things that's really great about this park is that it's all one level. You can actually get around it. It's ADA accessible, which is really important for the seniors that tend to watch their grandchildren in this neighborhood. And this park was really created by the community, for the community. It was a group of community members that got together that lived in the buildings surrounding here that had children, and they wanted to make the park more accessible to their kids that lived here. Before, if any of you have been around Seattle for a really long time, it used to be kind of one of those 1990s concrete jungles with monkey bars that are rusting and things like that. So it was a great moment where a lot of folks came together to raise money for the park. And I think it's like been a little over 10 years that it has been redeveloped. So as an organization, we are chartered to serve the Chinatown International District, which means all of our work is centered around this place. And so, you know, this neighborhood has been around for over 100 years, and we want this neighborhood to be here for generations after this.